Do you like ants?
Who doesn't like ants?
Do you like overexcited people?
I love overexcited people.
Then you need to watch Ants Canada. It's a YouTube channel by a dude who is just so enthusiastic.
He's so enthusiastic you can't tell if he's a troll.
Hello everyone and welcome to Danipedia. Today is the 18th of November 2019 and we're here to talk about the latest news in tech, gaming and media. Joining me today I have
Dad?
And I'm Dan. So, what's been going on this week, Dan?
What, media-wise? TV-wise?
Everything-wise. What's new in your world?
New in my world, I say new in my world, I actually went old school. I watched Top Boy, the new series of Top Boy that Netflix
my days!
Well, I thought, I'm coming to South London, got to brush up on my culture, Actually, I haven't watched Top Boy for a long time since it was on, was it BBC?
Channel 4.
Channel 4. Pretty impressed with it. I thought it was pretty good. New characters were good. Still got the same sort of gritty, storyline, and it's brilliant with the backdrop, the urban backdrop that it has. They do really well. The producers do really well with it. The cinematography is great, and it's a solid show. And a bit of Netflix budget always helps, doesn't it? So
shockingly, I have never ever watched Top Boy.
I thought you'd have been in Top Boy.
So it's one of those shows. It's one of those shows where I'm just constantly. It's on the wait list. It's on the back burner. I'm kind of saving it up. And now that the new series has come out and the old series is now referred to as Summer House, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm kind of. It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon.
Yeah, and it's good. It's not like, I wouldn't say shut everything off and shut yourself in for a day and just watch it, but. I watched a couple of episodes a night. Took up a couple of hours of my time, but it was entertaining. It was good. It
seems to have. It has a lot of the credibility and the chops. I mean, I know for a start, Asher D's in it.
Yeah.
Kano's in it as
Kano's
well.
Back in it, yeah.
And has it got the fella from Kidulthood?
Well, from momentarily.
Oh, don't say that.
Noel Clarke, you mean?
Yeah, Noel Clarke.
Yeah, no. I think he got a writing credit for it, which is you always think of Noel Clarke as like. Doctor Who and everything like that, but primarily he's a writer and a scriptist. He's a wordsmith, but you don't lose anything from him not being in it. Obviously, him and Asher Day have got like they've got a bit of a bromance going on, haven't they?
They have a bit of a dynamic.
Yeah. They're good, but they're the same actor. They're a very similar actor.
They do fill in some similar roles. So what else has been going on this week? Any other shows that you've been watching?
Yeah, I think last time we spoke, I had started watching Fastest Car.
Oh yeah.
Finished Fastest Car.
Really?
Very disappointed in the end.
Oh.
Don't watch the last episode. That's what I'd say. Watch the whole thing. Just forget the last episode. And just choose someone in your own mind who wins. So for those of you that don't know, Fastest Car Netflix series. Effectively, they take a supercar and they drive it in a quarter-of-a-mile drag race against a home-built junker or sleeper car, depending on where you're from. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty much it's a whitewash for junkers. The junkers just take pretty much every race bar one.
Oh. Okay then. So TV wise this week, I've again been watching His Dark Materials, which is I love when they do. A book to TV conversion and it's done right and it feels like they've properly read the material, they know the value of it. I consider His Dark Materials to be one of the great British novels. I consider it to be up there as it's the kind of thing that in 100 years time I feel like it will stand up the same way like Lewis Carroll and C.S. Lewis did and J.R.R. Tolkien. It's going to be up there as one of those things, and the fact they've done this conversion in such a way is just such a masterpiece. It's a must watch in my opinion.
And I always go back to Game of Thrones because I've obviously got like a lot of problems with Game of Thrones.
We've all got strong feelings about Game of Thrones.
And being a big big fan of the book, a bigger fan of the books than I am of the TV show. The books are now always going to be overshadowed by the TV show. Do you think that's going to happen with His Dark Material?
I think that with His Dark Materials, I hope that it leads people to read the books, but at the same time, the way it's kind of gifting out the story, it doesn't feel rushed. They're not doing things at a sort of an accelerated pace, and the action sequences that are in the books are exactly what they've put into the TV show as well. I feel like this is done right. If you don't know, there was a film adaptation of His Dark Materials back in 2007, I think, called The Golden Compass, which isn't even the name of one of the books, and it had Daniel Craig, and it had a couple of other people. I think Dakota Fanning's the little girl in it.
Yeah, when I watched that movie, I just thought, this is a payday.
Yeah,
that they've just done this,
and because it has very strong theocratic themes, and like it's got very strong philosophy and stuff. Hollywood was kind of scared and kind of skirted around that a little bit.
And the CGI wasn't great.
Yeah, the CGI wasn't great. There's some big CGI moments in this. I mean, again, for those of you who've not watched the story or watched the show, do watch the show. But I can tell you that it's set in a universe where everyone has what we call a demon, which is kind of a physical representation of your soul, which is like a little animal that scurries about. So someone who's quite skittish and quite hyperactive, they might have a fly.
I want to say like a Patronus.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Patronus, but I mean Patronuses are all badass. Like no one has a Patronus.
I don't know. Ginny Weasley has an otter.
Yeah. So I think someone does have. So you have these demons in a way, and they
I can't believe I know that.
Welcome to Danipedia. If you didn't know, this is a geek show. Okay, if you don't know what a Patronus is, then you're probably at the wrong place.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Skip forward to science news.
Something a bit less geeky. Anyway, so everyone has a demon, so there's loads and loads of CGI poured into it, and it's a joint production between BBC and HBO, and it's got that HBO money. It's got premium money behind it, and the CGI seems to be top notch.
Yeah,
it's a great show in a way. If you haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil anything for you. Just definitely watch His Dark Materials.
That is one of the benefits of when a few years ago Pinewood Studio Group was bought by a hedge fund, and that massive investment meant that in the UK they built another studio the same size as Pinewood across the road from Pinewood. But in America, so for Captain America and movies like that, they built a huge studio near Atlanta, and that came with a training college. So for people like HBO and stuff like that, this huge hedge fund have effectively trained loads of people with these, skills in all the latest modern, and they've got the best technology, and ILM have got an office there as well, so they've got all the coolest toys to play with. So that is one of the great things about HBO, ABC, all of those American premium channels have got all this wealth of talent that's sort of funded by British filmmaking now, which is quite cool. Americans won't take that, but effectively, we're paying you back for World War II.
So, otherwise, TV shows this week.
Actually, that leads nicely on because I've been watching World War II in colour.
Oh yeah, what's that like?
It's brilliant. I mean, it's obviously it's not stuff that we don't already know because it happened. But I think it sort of comes off the back of Peter Jackson's World War One. We will remember them.
They shall not grow old.
They shall not grow old. Yeah,
which in itself is a beautiful film, especially coming off the back of Remembrance Sunday last week. They Shall Not Grow Old is
good.
It's so good, and it's so beautifully made, and it's such a heartfelt tribute to the sacrifice. If you don't
cry, you haven't got a soul.
Yeah,
it's honestly so hard. The sacrifice. Like I'm not really a teary person, but I was just like, whew.
Yeah.
This is good.
There is nothing. I think because you always imagine it, and whenever you look at it through those sort of sepia tinted eyes, you understand what happened, but it's very difficult to sort of put it into a modern context. But suddenly when any of these images are colorized and brought to life, it brings something out, and you just absolutely brings about the reality of war.
It's a 10-part series as well, which is sort of runs in line with the events of World War II. So it starts off with obviously the German invasion of Poland and moving into France, the Blitzkrieg era, which obviously I sort of knew, but had no idea to the extent that the Germans basically went solid fighting for 3 or 4 days on meth.
Yeah.
They just literally methed themselves up and off they went.
There's a really interesting, I can't remember what the author's name is, there's a really interesting author who wrote all about how Germany used drugs and stimulants to push their soldiers forward. And there was a lot of, I don't know if it's solid science or if it's theoretical, but definitely in his book, he touches on the fact that Hitler was on.
Oh yeah, yeah. And by the end of it, you sort of see that development where, in the first instance, he's in pretty good shape. Like he's like, he knows what he's doing. He's got good guys around him. Obviously, the success of them pushing into France so quickly and taking over, and then you see the Allied retreat, and then you see the Battle of Britain, and then you see the D-Day landings, you see the Pacific Theatre and the bombing of Pearl Harbor and Midway, which is all really interesting. But then it just sort of gets to the point where he just starts making bad decisions, and you just sort of think to yourself, why is he doing that? And then it gets, oh, well, actually he had a doctor who was giving him daily injections of cocaine and heroin sort of mixed together, and he was just a terrible drug addict. And that's sort of when it all started falling apart, was you look at, he's sort of 3-4 years down the line,
Drug-addled lunatic.
Just a drug-addled lunatic, yeah. Basically that's where he ended up. So, but great show, great series. The colourisation's brilliant in places. In other spots it's iffy and it looks a little bit dodgy, skin tones aren't perfect and things like that. But
you always get that quite peachy hue.
Yeah, and then you can see, because you've got just before Harold Truman obviously took over from who was the US president that died?
Eisenhower?
No, he was General FDR. Roosevelt. Roosevelt obviously dying at the end of sort of the last year of the war, and you can see that they've sort of made him look ill. So they've given him like a grey hue to his skin. It sort of took away because his eyes are bright blue, but his skin's like a dead fish sort of thing. It's almost like they've done it on purpose, which sort of I was a bit like,
All right.
Yeah.
So otherwise, in TV news, sunny days, everything's okay. It was 50 years, the 50-year anniversary of Sesame Street.
Do you think that they launched Sesame Street to celebrate the moon landings?
Expand.
50th anniversary of the moon landings, 50th anniversary of Sesame Street. What a great year!
1969 was...
That's a big year.
It's a big year for a lot of reasons. I'm sure several other big things happened in 1969 as well.
Oh yeah, there'll be loads of stuff. But moon landings, obviously, is a great thing. But Sesame Street, that's sort of something that everyone must have watched Sesame Street.
The biggest takeaway I have from Sesame Street, I mean, I loved Sesame Street as a kid. Loved it, and I'm sure everyone did. The biggest thing I've taken away from it is I can't count to 12
without... I was just going to say, do you know what I love doing? Is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And watching people go, then they literally just go, I know that, but where is it from? And then it takes them ages to get it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12! Yeah, you can't not sing it like that, can you?
It's beautiful. The only other thing I've seen turn up in TV news this week, something for us comic book nerds, Sin City is getting not a TV adaptation. This is a follow-on from the movies, I believe. So this is just a further expansion on the cinematic universe of Sin City into the TV realm.
Be pretty cool. But there was always supposed to be more movies in the pipeline, but it's sort of like, how we've been waiting for Avatar for years for a sequel. We always just assumed it was that, and then it's just never materialised.
It's just got lost in development hell.
And now we're in a bit of a TV age. It's probably the appropriate time for something like that to come out, and it will do well.
I think so. I think that's exactly the kind of thing. To be honest, again, HBO picks that up, or one of the big internet companies, either Netflix or
even
Amazon,
even Apple,
any of those pick it up. I think it's perfect for those kind of streaming services. So look forward to that in the future.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can see for a new streaming service would be great. Like what Netflix did when they were first sort of trying to launch, buying some older seasons and rejuvenating them. That's the sort of thing that they could go. Yeah, everyone goes, oh, I'm a big fan of Mickey Rourke at the first one was pretty.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good, you know.
Did you know Mickey Rourke doesn't watch any of his own performances? He's very, very particular about it. He says that he doesn't watch any of his own performances. I saw an interview, I think this was way back, I think this was The Wrestler by Darren Aronofsky.
I'm still annoyed that he didn't win an Oscar for that.
Yeah, same. It's tremendous acting. And I think for someone who has got a rep and also plays a lot of meatheads, like
he was a boxer, back in the day, wasn't he?
The performance in that was just that was gut wrenching,
and it was almost like a semi-biographical of him.
Yeah,
been a bit of a through that whole boxing thing, had some drug problems, had some alcohol problems, and then sort of made a comeback, albeit as an actor rather than a professional fighter. But yeah, great, I love that film.
So, moving into the world of films, have you watched anything new this week?
No. But because of, just going back to TV, my children and I have been watching You vs Wild with Bear Grylls, which is a Netflix interactive TV show, which has taken up a lot of time, because if you mess it up, you have to go back to the beginning of the episode. So you can watch the same episode 4 or 5 times, especially when a 6-year-old is choosing the route. Should we walk across this frozen lake, or should we walk round it? Let's walk across it, Daddy. That's probably not a great choice.
So what happened? Can you kill bear?
Effectively, well, it's not kill bear, but it's like that you're delivering medicine to a village. If you do the wrong thing, you lose the medicine down a river or drop it off a cliff, or something like, or a crocodile attacks you and you end up getting an injury. So, or you get hypothermia. You fall in a lake and you get hypothermia, as we learned the hard way. But actually, really good. Really, really good. Sort of, obviously not as intense as Bandersnatch, but cool premise. And hopefully, I like these shows, and I like the interactivity.
I like where that's going. I think that I think it's the next integration. I think as more and more video games kind of leaned into that kind of quick time event-y stuff, I think that we'll get to a point where bandwidth will be quick enough, and you will be able to have like real-time sort of quick-time events and stuff, and those shows will go from strength to strength.
And Bandersnatch blew me away.
Yeah, same.
It annoys me now when people say, "Oh, I was so disappointed with the last season of Black Mirror." I wasn't, because we got Bandersnatch as well. I know it was a small series, but we got Bandersnatch. You could watch that 10 times and get 10 completely different films.
Oh, that was wonderful. That came out at Christmas, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's nearly a year since Bandersnatch.
I can't believe.
Do you think he's got another one? Because Bandersnatch was a surprise release. Do you reckon he's got another one
He's always got something in the back of his head.
Because I've not heard anything from Charlie Brooker. So
part of me is hoping that secretly that last season we got was actually a limited release. And we're owed another 5 episodes that are going to come out around Christmas.
I can believe that. I can believe that he's doing that. So otherwise, in film news, we had the emergence of a new hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Now I've seen every DC movie apart from Aquaman, which I cut off halfway through
because of the wobbly faces.
I just thought it was awful.
Yeah, wobbly faces. Just I couldn't get behind it. No, you don't need to CGI the wobbly face. If the camera's under the water, the faces aren't going to be wobbly.
Now you were a big fan of the Justice League movie.
No, I'm not a big fan of the Justice League movie.
You said that his lip was fantastic.
His top lip is his acting. His top lip should have its own credit. Right. I'm not a big fan of any one of those movies on their own. I am a fan of them all together.
As a story. As a unit.
Yeah. Like the same as if you were to watch, Batman Begins or The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, as any one movie. They're good movies, but when you watch if you watch Batman Begins, you then go, I'm going to watch The Dark Knight. Because it's a series.
It is. Yeah.
It's just a long cinematic series.
So, I mean, do you think that maybe... Well, I mean, we'll come on to the Snyder Cut in a minute, but do you think that maybe it's time to actually put that to bed? I mean, when you think about... I imagine the Christopher Nolan universe, and I think about how big and how vast it was and how amazing it was, and then I remember that was only 3 films. Now, this incarnation of the DC universe. It's been more than that because we've had 2 Batman films, we had the Justice League film. 2 Batman films, 2 Superman films, the Justice League movie,
Superman film.
the Wonder Woman movie, and the Aquaman movie,
and Suicide Squad.
And Suicide Squad,
which we're now going to get a Joker and a Harley Quinn movie off the back of.
I wonder if maybe it's already time to put that to bed and go for the relaunch with the new Batman film.
Off the back of a single line in The Dark Knight from Alfred. Mm-hmm. When I was in the army, when I was in the special forces, and when I was part of the security company, and I was working in Burma.
Oh yeah,
we have an Alfred origin series.
Oh well,
on Star Plays.
This TV show.
Yeah.
I'm not so keen. I don't know if it's going to be good.
Well,
have you watched it?
Not yet. No, I'm saving my 30-day trial with Star Plays.
Star Plays. I'm giving that a wide berth.
I'm not.
I'll be honest.
I'm behind this.
When I was in Burma, Master Bruce.
That's it. When I found a child with a ruby the size of a fist.
Size of a fist.
No, we forget that.
Just want to watch the world burn.
Let's probably not slag off Michael Caine too much because he's a legend.
And he'll blow the bloody doors off.
Yeah, blow the bloody doors off.
Yeah.
Or shoot us in the tunnel.
That's right.
So I'm behind it.
Okay.
Because I think Alfred, when I watched the new Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, I looked at the scene, the interaction between the Joker and Master Bruce.
Yeah.
With a chubby Alfred, stay away from this chub. That's not him.
No.
Thomas Wayne didn't hire him to be a butler. Thomas Wayne hired him to be a bodyguard, disguised as a butler.
Yeah.
So if anyone came after Bruce Wayne, there'd be this butler there, like, tea and cake, Master Bruce, and then bang, 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 you know, and that's cool. For me, that's cool, you know. But no one knows until he breaks your arm, and then you know.
Well, so
and straightens his dicky bow afterwards.
Picks his tray back up. It's called the Pennyworth. It's called Pennyworth.
Yes, Pennyworth. Yeah.
So anyway, coming back. Release the Snyder Cut. We've had Jason Momoa, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and I forget who plays Cyborg. I've forgotten his name.
I can't remember his name either. That's how memorable he was.
But that's all the big stars apart from Flash. All 4 Justice League stars that have all come out saying release the Snyder Cut.
Release the Snyder Cut. Yes, I agree.
So for those of you not in the know, during the making of Justice League, Zack Snyder, who director of so many comic book films, 300, Watchmen, and so on, and several of the Superman movies, he was making Justice League. He had a very personal family tragedy and he had to drop out. Joss Whedon, of other geekdom...
Firefly.
Equal geekdom seniority.
My eyes light up at Firefly.
Yeah, he was sort of jetpacked into... I imagine he travels by jetpack.
Obviously.
To sort of sort the movie out and release the final cut. Now, during that, there were some changes that were made, and until now, it's been very, very close as to what was actually changed, and it's all just been sort of supposition.
Yeah, and people forgot about it a bit.
Yeah, definitely, a lot of people forgot.
There was loads of good content came out in the meantime, it distracted them.
So, I mean, I think I'd be interested to see what it is, but I'm fascinated. I want to understand what's so different and what could make it so thematically different.
I'd like to watch it with Zack Snyder's commentary over the top. This is a bit of me, this isn't. You know, so he can go, I understand what Josh was doing here, but I'd have done it like this.
Yeah.
Be quite cool.
So I think I'll be following that quite closely, and I mean, if and when we get to a point where it comes out,
it will come out.
I'll be looking ahead. So otherwise, YouTube. What have you been watching? Anything good on YouTube?
I've been watching a lot on YouTube, to be honest.
Yeah, we all watch a lot on YouTube.
But, you know,
I probably watch more YouTube than I do real telly.
At the moment, yeah. But it's, as you know, I have another YouTube channel where I have a making channel.
Pluggity plug.
Pluggity plug plug plug. Link in the description.
Yeah.
But basically, my wife said to me, I would like you to make something for me for Christmas that I can give as a gift. Mm-hmm. So I've just been doing research on that, really. And she wants me to forge her a cheese knife. You know, okay, I'll do some research and I'll get into it.
Damn.
But on the side, you introduced me to a channel last week, which I've literally been obsessed with.
Are you talking about Ants Canada?
Ants Canada. I'm talking about Ants Canada.
So, do you like ants?
Who doesn't like ants?
Do you like overexcited people?
I love overexcited people.
Then you need to watch Ants Canada. It's a YouTube channel by a dude who is just so enthusiastic.
He's so enthusiastic you can't tell if he's a troll.
Yeah, I genuinely believe he is. So he basically has this massive basement full of different ant tanks.
His mum's basement.
Yeah, it's probably his mum's basement. Full of different ant tanks, and he raises different colonies of ants and tells you all about them, tells you all the information. But he goes beyond that, and he creates these little storylines around it.
As someone who, when they go to the zoo, gets told off for standing in front of the ants, this lets me stand in front of the ants without standing in front of the ants. It's the answer to a lot of my problems.
He has the fidelity, the camera work. It is amazing.
And he's just a little bit sick enough to do some animal experimentation.
He does a little bit of experimentation.
He throws a praying mantis in there every now and again. Let's see how the praying mantis gets on with this colony, and he gives them, it's almost like he's got an NFL roster in there, you know, it's like he's given them like football team, the Fire Nation, and a bunch of fire ants, and it's just
the
cool.
Titans,
it's just cool. It's just
so check out if you like ants, and even if you don't like ants, I would give it a look, just to see one of the most enthusiastic YouTubers I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, really, the guy deserves an. Well, he's probably got a medal. I don't know how many followers he's got, but he's probably
doing pretty well. He's got a couple of mil.
Yeah, it's great. It's good.
So that's been on YouTube this week. So moving on, what's new in tech news?
Tech news. We're going to talk about Amazon releasing a new platform called Amazon Handmade, which, as on the surface, I haven't done loads of research about this, but looking at it, I think this is a competitor to Etsy. So effectively, for those of you who don't know what Etsy is, people can hand make things and they can sell them. It's like a handmade platform. People make a living off of this.
Yeah, you get like picture frames and like jumpers.
Yeah, personalised trinkets and jewellery and
all sorts
clothing.
of weird stuff.
Yeah, so and you can basically order anything you want and someone will make it for you. It's perfect, great for gifts and things like that. So Amazon are launching a rival website called Amazon Handmade, where people can it's effectively the same platform, and I think this might be a precursor to a takeover. I think Amazon are gunning for Etsy.
I think Amazon's gunning for everything now.
Yeah. Well, they're world dominant.
I truly believe. I think they kind of blindsided it a little bit because we're both old enough to remember when you went to Amazon to buy a book.
Yeah, just books.
That was what it was. You couldn't buy anything else on it.
And then DVDs trickled in, and used stuff trickled in,
and now it is just the dominant force.
But I can remember, you know, when DVDs were big, I would on a sort of Wednesday when it was 3-day shipping, I would be at work at lunch and I'd go through, like, I'd made a list, like handwritten out a list of movies that I wanted to watch. I would go through and I would go on the used and I would buy DVDs for like a penny. And you could get like 15, 20 DVDs for less than a quid delivered. Like, and it was great. And I mean, obviously streaming, I haven't bought a DVD since Netflix was launched, really. But
I haven't bought a DVD in forever.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon just like last time we spoke, we were chatting about Google buying Fitbit for $2 billion, which Google scale, $2 billion is not a lot of money.
No.
And we sort of came to the conclusion that Google were buying Fitbit for the data, not for the technology.
Yeah.
And I feel like Amazon are going to start this off, and if it has a good launch and it makes them a bit of money, Etsy's the next step, and it will be Amazon Etsy within 5 years.
It's kind of funny that such a big corporation, because I think that Etsy, the attraction, I don't think I've ever bought anything off Etsy, but the attraction, I think, in the market they go for is for that very authentic, kind of made with love kind of vibe. And the idea of the biggest industrial machine that just pumps out product after product and gets it to you as quick as possible, the idea of them having the love and the care and the sensitivity.
Etsy turns over is in the billions.
Yeah.
I mean, you think that, but it's not a small industry.
No.
And you've got a huge amount of people, especially in the US, stay-at-home parents and parents who have people who have left a career to have children, and then when their children have gone to school, they're sort of sat at home going, "What can I do? I'll do this for," and they make, I'm sure there's not many people that make a huge living off of it, but I'm sure there are people that make a living off of it. Especially if you're, people there's still eBay millionaires. There must be Etsy millionaires.
It makes you wonder. I mean, eventually you could end up with like factory lines. I suppose some people could people have like factory lines in their homes? And also, do you think that Amazon could sell, for example, let's say I make scatter cushions.
Yeah.
Could Amazon sell me the materials?
Yeah.
For me to then distribute on the Amazon platform.
Yeah.
So they are both the wholesaler. So they make
the wholesaler and the reseller.
And they make you the middleman.
That's already what people do.
That's completely inverted. When you think about it, Amazon's entire business model was based on being the middleman, being the middle person, not a manufacturer.
Yeah, but then they thought, why wouldn't I be everyone?
I want to be everyone.
That's basically
apart from the manufacturer, and I'll make you the manufacturer.
Yeah, and you're gonna pay me £80 a year.
Oh my god, it's Black Mirror. Okay,
it is Black Mirror.
Let's move on from that before I end up in an existential crisis again. Uber, what's going on with Uber now?
Uber have had a tough time, especially City of London Uber. But US Uber, we've had a massive loss, $5.2 billion loss posted in the US. Even so, Lyft and Uber are still gunning for driverless Uber, off the back of a couple of pretty serious lawsuits where people have been killed in driverless Ubers. Still an interesting technology. It's still the way that it's going to go, and how long until everything's driverless. Obviously, shame, especially in London, we've got iconic things such as the black cab and obviously the red London bus and all those sorts of things. Will they be automated? Yes. The thing that Uber, I think, are going to do is they're going to make driverless transportation for freight. It will be driverless trains, driverless lorries, driverless distribution.
I've seen the model I've seen so far has been these sort of convoys, the freight convoys. Where there's like several automated trailers following a driver at the head.
Which is I think the testing is going to happen in Australia. Obviously, they've got these wonderfully long straight roads. They've got miles and miles. If there is an accident, it doesn't matter.
Someone won't get their Amazon parcel, but otherwise it'll be fine.
I mean, the testing will have to be extensive, but the great thing about somewhere like Australia as well is that they can, it can all be carbonless as well. So, well, not carbonless, but it can be solar powered. These can be self-charging vehicles. Yeah, it can be neutral-ish. Which what an age we live in.
Yeah.
But because I don't use Uber very much, but you have a bit more experience.
I ride a heck of a lot of Uber, and I have to say, and it's something I noticed. I rode an Uber home the other night. I did not interact with the driver.
No,
I didn't at all, and so the move to automation wouldn't have an impact, as in it wouldn't. Which sounds harsh. Do you know? In fact, just recently, and off the back of this, Uber recently made a new option. So for their Uber exec set, there's typically three classes of Uber. So you have Uber, which is it's a cab. You have Uber Pool, which is where you pick people up as you go, and you kind of do it just like a bus. You all chip in and pay the fare and leave from a common point and go to a common point. And then they have Uber Exec or Uber Lux, which is like their two luxury brands. So Uber Lux is like right up there, and they're pretty few and far between around this neck of the woods. Uber Exec is the kind of business class.
Yeah, sort of the Addison Lee equivalent.
Yeah, and one of the things that they've added to Uber Exec recently is your conversation preference.
Oh, so you can literally say, do not talk to me.
Before you get in the car, you can say, I'm not here for a chat.
Oh, wow.
Don't talk to me. And you can put that in and it will come up.
That seems like something that Londoners would love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I just don't know.
I quite like having a chat with I mean, I make a point of of using black cabs. When we're in London and we've got to get somewhere quickly, I'll make a point of using a black cab. Because I know, usually I've got the kids with me as well, I know that we're not going to struggle to get in and out of the cab. And I know that the cab's actually going to take me the quickest route. Because I've had 3 bad experiences with Uber where, I mean, I drive through London a lot, so I know London pretty well. And I know that they've taken poor routes. And whether it's because of lack of knowledge or whether it's because the sat-nav told them to go that way, I don't know. But I literally was like, you've just driven past the road. You've just driven past the other end of the road.
Did you know on the Uber receipts and on the Uber email you can actually appeal an Uber journey?
No, I didn't.
And you can say that was not an efficient route, and they'll put it through a magic GPS that will sort of, it goes by predicted traffic as well, and they'll refund you the difference and they'll say, you're right, this would have been the more efficient route. Here's some of your money back.
I didn't know that.
I've done that before where I feel they've taken the Michael a little bit and gone for a bit of a spin. I've appealed it, and they haven't refunded me the whole fare. What they've said is, "You're right. This would be," and they put in the email. They put the route that you took. This would have been the better route.
Yeah.
Here's some money back.
Well, that's cool. That is cool. But I still just trust the black cabbies more.
Well, they'll be automated one day too.
Yeah, they'll be automated as well. They're after the Tesco checkout, they're the next head on the chopping block, aren't
beep,
they?
Beep.
Yeah.
So,
sorry,
again,
black cabs, London Taxi Drivers Association.
So let's move on and just talk gaming news for a moment. There's 2 big game releases that have come through in the last couple of days. I said after the last time we spoke, I said there was one game that I was definitely going to go and play, and that game was Death Stranding, aka Amazon the game. So very Amazon themed week this week. So Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a post-apocalyptic tale of one man and his package.
Norman Reedus' package.
And you go from site to site across a desolate and at the same time beautiful, almost Icelandic plains sort of area, hiking between different places.
It's got that volcanic look about it.
Yeah. And you hike between different places, delivering precious cargo to keep tiny little survivalist communes going.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. I thought that it sounded sort of lame. To be in the initial.
I think it does. I think the premise, without seeing the gameplay, makes it sound rubbish.
Yeah, reminds me a lot of futuristic Red Dead Redemption, futuristic Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed in the modern. Before you go back, just watching 5 minutes of gameplay with you earlier on. I thought it was cool.
It's different in that there is a little bit of combat, and I've got into that a little bit, but the combat's quite simple. It's not very advanced. The whole game is the journey. It is to the point that you have to scan regularly, and if you ignore little rocks and stuff like that, you'll trip over them. You can damage some of the boxes. There's spooky ghosts as well, and the whole thing, and what it's named after, the Death Stranding, which was the apocalyptic event, has kind of left spooky ghosts that rove these planes.
The official term, not spooky.
Yeah, I call them spooky ghosts. So I always say, like when I was showing Dan some of the gameplay, I said, "Oh yeah, look out over there. There's spooky ghosts." And you have a baby that's strapped to you, and the baby helps you detect the spooky ghosts using this big sensor. It's an amazing game, and just
cool premise.
I'm keen to put it out there because definitely it's had some mixed reviews, and I'm definitely on Team Death Stranding. This game, don't believe the negative hype. If you have a PS4, you need to get this game. You need to give it a go. And when I say give it a go, this is not.
You've got to commit yourself to it.
Yeah, this isn't like your regular AAA game. I mean, I think us gamers are very, very used to now putting down 40, 50 quid usually for a game experience that's probably going to last like 12 hours. I've played this game for 14 hours. And now I've got into the main gameplay loop. It hadn't actually opened up. That was 14 hours of prologue, of introduction and tutorial, and now I'm getting into the main gaming loop.
What I liked was the the pinging the ground, so you can get the lay of the land, and more different terrain is more difficult. So going through deep water and fast moving water affects your stamina, and upsets the baby.
Oh yeah, the baby gets grumpy.
It's cool. I mean, I like that sort of thing, and I like the way that the missions are set out, and I like the way that you're sort of given the new missions. It was, I mean, it looks to me like they've sort of taken a few different things from a few different genres and a few different game titles that were already released, and sort of gone, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. We'll pick and choose what we want. We'll get a pretty cool titular, actor to play that. Norman Reedus. He's pretty good, isn't he?
Can't
go wrong. Yeah. To the point where he was written into a TV show based on a comic book, when the character that actually he was related to was written out.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of Mel, keep Daryl.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong with it. He's a great actor, and also Boondock Saints and all that sort of stuff.
Interestingly,
cool acting roles.
Yeah. Interestingly, there's a big campaign now for the guy that made it, a guy named Hideo Kojima, who's a legendary game maker. He broke off from Konami, which has been his gaming studio for years and years and years. He broke off from them and launched his own production company, and this is the first game. He's saying now, I want to transition into other forms of media. I want to transition into TV shows and films. Everyone who's played the game, is a fan of the game, is now heavily petitioning for a TV version or a movie version. And then everyone kind of jokingly says, "Who do we get to play the main character?"
Well,
Norman.
Let's just flip a coin on that.
Yeah. Someone on Reddit, someone jokingly said Andrew Lincoln, of course.
Well, why wouldn't you? Also a quality actor. But last time we sat down and had a chat, we did speak about this transition of actors into video games and video game characters into acting, which I feel is the future.
Yeah.
I feel that we will get characters from video games being projected onto body doubles in the future. Well, it's going to be cool.
Interestingly, so there are two quite very, very famous directors, in fact, but I think both are Oscar winners, two famous directors who are both in the game, and they're not just little cameos, these are main characters that run throughout the narrative of the game. Neither are voiced by the directors, but they've done full body scans of them, and they are the bodies. So Nicholas Winding Refn, who made Drive, made Drive, and
great film,
and the other another film, the one in Thailand. Oh, I can't remember his name.
There Will Be Blood. I know the one. No arms at the end.
Yes. Spoiler alert. So he's in the film. In the game, he's a main character, and Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
He is a main character. He's throughout the game, but again, not voiced by him, but full body scan of him. So it's interesting that you said about that, and I think in the future you will see. Actors simply lending their likeness to films,
and still, I still haven't watched Gemini Man, but Gemini Man is sort of the first major
where it's actually been done.
Actually been done. Will Smith literally had to sit in a chair and act out the lines of the other actor playing the young Will Smith, which is I think is cool. Gemini Man for me, even if it's not a box office success, that is the first iteration of this sort of thing happening.
That was a huge flop, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, God, it may get a really cool following when it goes to DVD and streaming and stuff like that. But the thing about these films now is they have a chance to still be a box office success, because they can, instead of releasing to DVD, they can go out and they can sell the rights to streaming services.
Yeah.
And get a big lump sum and go, oh, we only made 50 million at box office off of a 40 million budget, so we're 10 million quid up. It's not enough for a sequel. Oh, Netflix will give us 10 million, Amazon will give us 10 million, Apple TV will give us... All of a sudden, we're 40 million up and we can get a sequel. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. So otherwise in gaming news, other things to quickly talk about. I haven't yet played it, but obviously on Friday there was the launch of the latest generation of Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah. You were a big fan of Pokemon Go when that was released as well, weren't you? Everyone was.
We all did it.
But there's a great anecdote from
when
Russell Howard about he was on a train platform and kids kept coming up to him with their phones and going, and he was like looking, just come and ask me for a picture. And the next one had come up and he'd go, why won't you just ask me for a picture? If you want a picture, come and take it. Sorry, mate. No, there's a Pokemon standing over there, and he was like, oh, just brought me down to earth. Kids, savages.
So this latest iteration of Pokemon, this is the best looking. I say that because I've not played it, but it's the best looking Pokemon I've ever seen.
They're up. They've got enough the money to keep up with the technology.
This is like third person perspective. This is you actually walk around. It's not top down anymore. You are walking around the world. And the big game changer this time that I noticed when I was watching my wife playing is that, remember before when you'd walk through the grass and then and a wild Pokemon would appear?
Yeah.
Now you can see a wild Pokemon.
Oh, and you can go for it.
And you can be like, I've already got one of you. Walk around
because
it. Doesn't matter.
When I had back in the day, that used to wind me up so much. I would cut my way through the grass so I didn't have to fight the Pokemon.
Yeah, I think we all did. You were always constantly looking for ways around it when you weren't in the mood.
Because it was just a ball ache, wasn't it?
Whereas now you can be like, I see you, Pokemon, and just don't walk up to it. That's a bit of a game changer. Yeah. And the setting of it this time, the region of it is the Galar region, which is based on the United Kingdom.
I'm so out of date with. Is this based on the cartoon?
No, I don't know what this is based on.
I'm so far away with the cartoon.
I feel like most of it's based on a kind of fever dream after you've had too much Benylin. It's. Do you know what I mean?
That's what it's always been based on.
Yeah.
It's a Benadryl nightmare.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I don't think this is based on anything in particular, but I know that it's set in the UK and it's heavily inspired. The Pokemon League this time is inspired by the Premier League, and so you go to like real big stadiums to play it. And
it'd be interesting to see what is their like the fighting style. I've always wanted a Tekken style. Pokemon game.
Did you not know?
No, I didn't know. This is what I'm going for.
There's a game on Nintendo Switch. There is a game called Pokken Tournament.
This might be a bit of me.
And it's made by the people that make Tekken. It's made by Namco. It uses the Tekken fighting system, and you can play various different Pokemon. Now, it hasn't got a full roster. It hasn't got like even the first 150.
I'm going to Google this.
But you can be a Charizard, and you can bang up a Blastoise in Tekken style.
I would be up for that.
Pokken Tournament, it's real. Pokken Tournament DX is on the Nintendo Switch.
That was the only reason that I got into the Dragon Ball Z video games, because there was that feature where it was like, and I was such a big Tekken fan, and Street Fighter fan, Tekken, all of those. Yeah, I can get into that.
You need to look into Pokken Tournament. Next time you come over, I'll get it for the Switch.
Okay,
because it's quite cheap. It's been out for a couple of years.
Okay. Review coming up.
Moving on. One more bit of gaming news. I know we're very gaming heavy this week, but one more thing that we do need to talk about, because before the next time we meet, it will have been released out into the wild, is Google Stadia.
This is something I'm going to buy.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is Google's big step into the gaming world, and they have gone hard with this. Not only they've built their own gaming studios,
but they've gone hard, and they've made everyone else sort of start panicking. Yeah. There's some panic setting in.
I genuinely, because up until this point, so just to let's outline what Google Stadia is first. For those of you who don't know, now I'm presuming you know a little bit, but Google Stadia fundamentally is cloud gaming, which means I pick up the controller at this end, do my inputs, they are sent over the internet to a games console that's kept under a mountain in Colorado, and then that computer spits back over the internet the images of the video game that I'm playing, cloud gaming. Now, this was attempted a couple of different times by a couple of different companies. One of the very first experience I had of it is something called OnLive Gaming, which is a service that was launched in 2010. And they sent you a little unit the size of a deck of cards. Now, I had that, and to be honest, my internet connection has always been very, very good. But it ran pretty flawlessly. I had a couple of games on there. I had Deus Ex, Human Revolution, and a couple of other games on there. And it worked really, really well.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, the controller, the console effectively, like you said, it's not Google's console, but it is their their video games platform. I take it that you are able to plug the controller into your phone and then use the 4G from your phone to connect.
Oh no, it gets much more interesting than that. So there's always been a little bit of an input lag. When you think about it, the way a typical controller works, especially in modern times, most controllers work with Bluetooth technology. So the controller sends the Bluetooth signal to the console processes the inputs, spits out the video onto the screen. With cloud gaming, obviously that's another bit of lag there, because
you've got another thing to go through.
The constant battle with cloud gaming is input lag. I want to be able to press forward and go forward, press left, go left. So one thing they've done to eliminate some of that lag is the controller itself has a Wi-Fi receiver. The controller sends a Wi-Fi signal, sends your input via Wi-Fi through the router out to the cloud.
So I can't play this using my phone as a hotspot?
You can use your phone. But the thing is it's going to be very, very closely affected by input lag. So you could use your phone over an existing Wi-Fi network, and that would be feasible and it would work quite well. But if you try to use 4G signal, expect some problems.
And funny that this coincides with release of 5G technology.
I think with 5G technology, it'll be feasible. And I mean, right now, so you can do it with. They're only, with the soft launch in November, I think it's November 20th, they're only allowing it on Google Pixel phones. Yeah. But they're rolling out to Android devices, iOS devices later.
You can buy full price video games.
Yeah, so the model they went for, because interestingly, a lot of people were saying, is this going to be some kind of subscription model, kind of a Netflix of video games?
Yeah.
And they haven't done that.
They have in the US.
No?
Yeah. It's you get a £30 yearly membership or a $10 a month.
With that,
monthly subscription.
All you're getting is a limited library of games. Right now, the only game you're getting is Destiny 2, and then down the line, they say not even once a month. So with other subscription services that you have, like PlayStation and Xbox Pass, they'll typically put out 2 games a month. With this, they're saying Destiny 2, which is to be fair, is about 3 years old now. You can have Destiny 2, and we'll add more games to the library in the future.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting. To be honest, none of the games, I think the only exclusive that's on there right now isn't a game changer. It's not from a big AAA studio. I think the way they've pitched it is November 20th it goes live for, I think they've called it Premier members.
Yeah. And in the US, I think it's Pro.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. And then next year, 2020, is when it will be sort of fully out there, because then they're going to introduce apps. There's going to be apps for Chromecast, which is the Google streaming in service, and also for Roku as well, I think.
Cool. You're a fan of Roku as well, aren't you?
I'm a big fan of Roku.
Yeah. Well, I'm yet to, I'm thinking about Roku.
Think about Roku. Don't just think about Roku. Go
Roku. For Roku.
Roku's the best smart stick I've ever had.
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, Google Stadia is coming out on November 20th.
And the other thing that I noticed was the design looks very familiar.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be a difficult transition for PlayStation and Xbox.
They say we took they've done one of those things that said, we took 1,000 mouldings of 1,000 different gamers' hands and made the ultimate gaming controller.
It's just an Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah, kind of smushed. They just smushed. They got a PlayStation controller and an Xbox controller and just kind of went like that.
Yeah, and until they had a baby.
And then, and it made like...
Yeah, but the buttons all seem to... They're coincidentally, they're all basically the same. Yeah. But you can see in the future, people, the phone clip for the controller look pretty cool, and you can see that being a big benefit of people literally sitting at home with it streaming on their TV, bang, I've got to go to work, just straight on the bus.
They heavily emphasised on
straight to a driverless Uber.
When they did the sort of big live announcement event, they heavily emphasised that, and they had someone switching back and forth from like, now I'm going to play on my phone, now I'm going to play on my TV, now I'm going to play on my laptop.
That stinks of Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Well, and Nintendo seem to be taken advantage of all the time. They come up with these great cool ideas, GameCube and all of that sort of stuff. They just go, shut up, Nintendo! Like, we're taking that idea. And okay.
They're the great experimenter, really, aren't they? They're the great. Yeah. They seem to have, over the years. I mean, they are the oldest continuous gaming company that's continued to serve.
Because they've got huge support in Japan.
Yeah, and they've continued to serve home consoles, but they always have been the risk takers, and I think part of it's because of the solidity they have, because of the solid foundation they have as a trusted gaming company, but they've always been willing to go out there and take little sort of risks and see where it goes.
I love Nintendo. Nintendo's for me is nostalgia, but I can't help but think of it in anything other than nostalgia. I had a NES, I had a SNES, I had a GameCube, I had everything. I had a Game Boy.
Wii U?
I had a Wii U. Yeah, we had a Wii. Yeah, absolutely Wii U. We've literally had everything. Yeah. I had, Duck Hunt. It's one of those games that you look at and you think, now it's pretty dated and there's not a lot to it. It's a simple game. But without Duck Hunt, we'd have never had Time Crisis. Without Time Crisis, we now wouldn't have Pistol Whip.
Yeah.
And Pistol Whip, for those of you who don't know, pretty new release on VR, and it's the first game which I'm quite interested in. They've solved the travel sickness problem.
How?
As all perspective.
All perspective.
Yeah, so everything moves at a constant pace. You don't move. So you duck, you move, you aim in different directions, but you're always moving in a linear direction, and you're moving at a constant pace with a flat horizon. So they, whereas usually when you move, everything moves. Doesn't happen on Pistol Whip. So where a lot of people go, can't play VR, makes me feel sick, you can.
I might need to blow the dust off. Sorry, Oculus, I will play you soon.
It's one of those things, VR is something that I'm getting more and more interested in, and I'm thinking now, I've got to get involved.
Yeah, my Oculus setup, you can probably see it. Yeah, I've got sensors sort of sprinkled about the place. It's been gathering dust for a little while, and it's a bit of a faff. Obviously, with a lot of the inside-out technologies now, where the sensors are detected from the headset, it's becoming a little bit more mobile, a little bit more portable, a little bit more accessible for a lot of people.
And I don't know, we didn't speak much about it, but I'm actually very interested in AR, these AR glasses that are coming out, where you've got internal projection onto the lens rather than a video game being thrown into your face. For stuff, for board games, chess, Dungeons and Dragons, those sorts of things. For me, that's a sort of in my old age, with my walking stick, for playing, especially for the kids and learning those sorts of things, or playing with people, relatives and stuff that are abroad or in different countries. I like the idea of people being able to, especially when your grandparents get old, some of my grandparents, you think to yourself, what, actually, I could sit down and play chess with them while I'm on holiday. You can always sit there and you can make effort without making any effort. That sounds harsh.
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? You can be there even when you're not. If you live in another country.
Black Mirror. So
we always come back to Black. It's like we live in Black Mirror.
It's like Black Mirror is a reflection of reality. Anything else in gaming news there?
Just a quick announcement. I don't know much about it yet because we haven't had loads of information, but tell me why the Microsoft have announced they're going to be launching a video game next year which shows the first LGBTQ protagonist.
That's a big claim. I mean, I haven't seen the news story. The idea that they are claiming to have the first LGBTQ protagonist, I would refute.
It might just be lazy reporting.
I think that's lazy reporting, just because. So, for example, I know for a fact in a lot of RPGs, to be honest, what I will say is in games there hasn't often been an auto-defined LGBTQ character, someone who by default is LGBTQ. What I have seen, experienced and played as is a lot of RPGs where there are those. So for example in Mass Effect there's definitely, you can get with all kinds of genders. I mean, you can get with boys, girls and aliens with no kind of gender. And I think in The Witcher, I think Geralt can be gay, and definitely in Fallout. In Fallout, you can do what you want. So I say lazy reporting, but also
maybe Microsoft
trying to state a claim that's not actually true.
let's let that one stew
We'll
for a
let that
while.
one
We'll talk
stew
about
and
that again
simmer.
later when that's actually released.
Yeah. So moving on to some science and tech news. Now we're gonna go into the speed lane now. It's all about speed this week.
LSR,
not
as
in-
they call it.
What's LSR?
Land speed record.
Oh, all right. So again, the UK, not UK based.
Yeah.
UK founded.
UK founded and UK based, bought out of receivership. Bloodhound,
Yeah.
based in Chiltern.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and originally, I think from Halifax.
We'll go back to.
Do you know, this is because we're filming it at 60 frames a second.
Fine. So we're going to push off into the fast lane now and talk about some science and tech news. So what's been going on in the tech world? LSR, baby.
LSR, land speed record.
The land speed record. So UK based.
UK founded, UK based. Bloodhound. They've got a different racing name.
Okay.
But they're I think based in Chiltern now. Developments in Chiltern, but they were originally founded in Halifax or South Yorkshire.
Right.
And bought out of receivership a few years ago. And actually, funny enough, the driver of the vehicle is I think he was involved.
He was in the last land speed record in
yeah.
what was it called? Thrust or
Thrust 2.
SEC Thrust?
Yeah.
All right. That's a cool name.
All right.
Thrust. So they just broke the 600 mile per hour speed mark.
Yeah.
They went above 600 miles per hour, and it's freaking cool.
It's pretty fast.
So where's the sound barrier?
I'm pretty sure it's 649.
649. Leave a comment below if we're wrong.
Pretty sure we're wrong. It might be 645.
So they've just gone over 600 miles per hour. Now the most interesting thing about that is that Bloodhound itself, it has a jet engine.
Yeah.
And
a pulse jet engine as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, not the standard Pegasus that we would generally see in a jet plane.
Yeah.
It's effectively a straight fuel powered turbine, fuel powered jet thrust,
right,
rather than spinning blades that throw air through it and thrust it with air.
I get you.
Yeah.
I'm imagining it now, and I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's we could make one pretty easily.
Okay, so
that's coming up.
See you soon. So they just broke this 600 mile per hour sort of mark, and they have built Bloodhound to take a rocket engine as well.
Yeah,
but they haven't yet put the rocket engine in
because they're afraid. Because that
you horses.
Technically, they could easily, well, not easily, but they could break the 1,000 mile an hour.
No!
Limit.
Oh my god!
On a flat plane as well, not even with a downhill.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So the same
thing.
The same guy that was in the last one, Tom Evans. He's in this one as well.
Yeah, but this is slightly different because they're having to track this vehicle in. So they're basically having to gouge furrows in the ground.
Yeah.
Because the technology is so up to date. It's so ahead of where we think it is. Everything about that vehicle is 100% as technologically advanced as it possibly could be. But he still has to drive it.
Yeah.
And when you're going at 600 mile an hour...
I mean, what more can you do? Like...
No, I think you'd be surprised. It takes some driving. It takes some driving. I can promise you. The reason that Richard Hammond crashed that car, the jet car, the drag racer, is because he couldn't drive it. People think it's hold on for dear life and go straight. It's not. You have to drive that car because you will die.
It's kind of fascinating. You think about what they've probably done. And I mean, I don't know, and I admittedly haven't read enough about it. But probably the micro adjustment. Probably that degree of turning on this steering wheel would probably only shift the wheels like a nanometer over.
But it will be controlled by computer. So when you're doing 600 mile an hour, you can't just go for it.
It's all about the family.
Yeah. There's no handbrake turns at 600 mph.
Shame.
But it's it will take some driving. This isn't going to be a get in and push a button autopilot.
I mean, I've just got an idea for Fast and Furious 9. So,
have we had a Fast and Furious in South Africa?
No, but we've had because technically Charlize Theron, she's South
African, yeah.
And she was the baddie in the latest one. So they've got a perfect reason to go over there.
They have, yeah, because that's where a family live.
Yeah.
And it turns out they've all got jet cars.
Yeah.
I'm up for that.
It's all about a family.
But, I mean, unless you've seen one of these things moving in real life, and I mean, I've never seen a land speed record attempt, but, having been to places like Sandspod and things like that, and seen, especially things like jet cars and nitro funny cars, what
Sorry, nitro funny cars?
Nitro funny cars.
What's a nitro funny car?
A nitro funny car is a supercharged monster mobile,
right.
Usually a Corvette, which runs on pure nitromethanol. It's basically booze and nitrous sprayed in at high pressure to give you. I mean, we're talking 300 mile an hour in a quarter of a mile.
Right.
I mean, we're talking big. But what could be more American than going, powering my car with pure nitrous and alcohol is not enough. I'm going to put a jet in it. Because this is there's a whole racing league devoted to putting jet engines in cars.
Oh my god.
America.
How do I find it?
You just type in nitro funny cars.
Nitro funny cars, there you go. That is a good YouTube-y
the noise
black hole for me.
I can remember we took my mum to Santa Pod, and she went, "Is it going to be loud?" And I went, "Yeah, it's going to be louder than you can imagine." And the first one went past, and it was like this, whoa, like screaming. She went, "Oh I could feel it. My heart was going funny, like it was in my lungs. The air pressure changed, and it does. Like you can't unless you've been there, and it's inside. The noise reverberates through you.
Oh yes,
it's incredible.
Nitro funny cars.
Nitro funny cars.
So we're going to slow things down a little bit now. Let's talk about F1. They've got some big plans in the works.
They have, yeah. F1. Big fan of F1, by the way. Great news from F1, actually. They have put in place plans to completely eliminate their carbon footprint by 2030. Now, I was thinking to myself, this is just going to be on track. This is going to be, we'll do a bit more recycling, the cars will be electric, yeah. It's not. It's actually full staff transport, vehicular transport, aircraft for crew, everything like that is all going to be carbon neutral. I don't know how they're going to do that.
That's a big step.
Yeah, and God, I mean, how many races? I mean, we've seen a massive expansion in F1 in the last few years.
Yeah.
Actually, ironically, since Bernie retired, more and more races every year. I mean, every year we're looking at another race. When it gets to 2030, we could have 50 races on the calendar. We're talking about almost an entire year of races, possibly to the point where we're having to have 2 or 3 races in a week, rather than now, having mid-season breaks and things like that, which is great for the sport because it means the engineering's going to have to get better, the rebuilds are going to have to be quicker, the transportation, because the thing people often forget about F1 is, if you have a car crash in F1, you don't just have another car. You have to take that car, rebuild it for the next day. So usually these technicians are, if they crash in qualifying or practice, they're then working through the night to rebuild it, to get it to qualifying. If they crash in qualifying, they're rebuilding it again to get it to the race.
Oh my
and
God.
Then you've got to take that...
It's giving me anxiety thinking about it.
Then
That would be the most stressful engineering job.
Yeah, and then not only that, you've got to then take that vehicle and possibly fly it across the world and do the same thing again in a different country.
Isn't it like the circus? Like, yeah, no, because the circus, I've seen a circus pack up and unpack, and they are so good because the whole business model is based on logistics. It's based on travelling from place to place. They're so good at it, and do you think that that's given them the wiggle room to make themselves carbon neutral? Is because they've always behind them, they must have such a solid logistic backbone already that they can up their game and do that because it's a purely logistic model.
I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, unless the only way I can see them doing is going from now on, all of the races, you can't have any races outside of one. Every year it's going to be a different continent. So we'll have the World Series. Will go. This year is America. We'll have American races. Next year is Europe. Then Asia. Then Africa. Then Oceania, or where whatever, South America. And then whoever won all of those, we'll get them into a World Championship, and it'll be like the Champions League of Formula One. And you could
open it up a bit.
It could open it up, but I can't see how they can reduce the track, because best one in the world by 2030. There's not going to be electric jet planes that are capable of picking an entire fleet of lorries up and flying them across the world, and we're still not going to have enough solar panels to create the energy in a carbon neutral way to charge those aeroplanes up to fly them across the world.
So maybe they've. I mean, it's good, and I think in this day and age, and with the, I fully buy in, and I do believe that we're approaching or are in a climate emergency now. I think it's good for big industries to almost overpromise or to set overly ambitious goals. And I mean, particularly the F1, we've seen it time and time again, and I think last time we spoke we were talking about them going fully electric, and their ambition to become fully electric by 2030 as well, or quite soon. And we were saying again in that conversation that this will be fantastic because a lot of the engineering innovations that have happened over the years at that highest flight of racing has had trickle down effects for
history of that
for the day-to-day user, and for them to then set this carbon neutral goal, that's probably going to have some huge trickle down effects for innovation for person to person use as well.
So we to make it. Bear with me because this comparison is going to seem very
hammy.
The pornographic industry.
Okay.
The pornographic industry is the benchmark for what we do with media.
I've seen this. So this is why this is what won the. We're keeping it PG, folks. Don't worry.
So when they started producing these movies, it's a market that is taboo, but it's the biggest media market in the world.
Yeah.
They chose 8mm film.
Yeah.
So we went with 8mm film. They chose VHS over Betamax. We went with VHS. They chose DVD over HD DVD and Laserdisc.
Yeah.
The consumer uses DVD. They chose internet-based streaming.
And they chose Blu-ray.
They chose Blu-ray, and then it went on to internet-based streaming, and here we are with everything being streamed directly into our homes now.
So coming away from that
Coming away from topic. That, F1, whatever they design, we end up with.
Yeah.
Brake discs. Every car has brake discs.
Yeah.
Anti-roll bars. Every car has anti-roll bars. Fuel efficiency. Every car is more fuel efficient. Carburetors. Or everything. Every major development
in the car industry. They go carbon neutral.
All of a sudden, everyone. If you've got the flagship of Mercedes, Mercedes High Speed, developing electric motors, before you know it, every Mercedes that's coming off the factory is going to have the most efficient electric engine and battery system you could.
I just love I found it thrilling. I'm not the biggest gearhead or the biggest racing fan, but I do find something fascinating about electric cars just because of linear acceleration.
Yeah.
Because you just there's no gears. You put the pedal down this much. It's like a go-kart, like a bumper car. You put the pedal down this much, you go that fast. You put the pedal down this much, you go at the top speed, and it's like a Scalextric car.
That's a good, if you pull the trigger on the Scalextric car, it shoots off the first.
Yeah, it will go. It will go as fast. It will give it full twat.
This is what Tesla. People, when you see a Tesla, you think a sensible electric car that does 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, faster than a Lamborghini. And when you look at a current Formula 1 car can go from 0 to 100 miles an hour and back to 0 in under 5 seconds. That's how fast they are. I mean, how fast is it going to be when it's electric?
Oh my god!
But the difference is their money developing the batteries, and the thing that holds us back at the moment is the battery technology.
Yeah.
So a Tesla would say driving it as a normal person would drive any other car, you realistically are going to get 250 miles if you don't have the air conditioning and the radio on.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got all the luxury items turned on, it's driving itself, realistically, you're not going to get anywhere near that. Formula 1 cars are going to have to do between maybe 70, 80, 90 miles in a single race on a single charge at top speed. So they're going to be going, how can we get that much battery? Because they're not going to be allowed to change batteries. That'll be a rule.
Oh.
There won't be, quick, get a new one in, and doing pit stops.
In my head, I imagined, you know, not some massive pit crew, but what I always grew up with, which was when the batteries ran out on the remote, my mum would take them out and rub them and then put them back in.
Yeah, you just got wrapping a blanket.
You could just have a bunch of
like a paint shaker.
Yeah, you could have a bunch of mums taking it out and saying, no, just turn them around, turn them around, and jamming it back in.
Blow on them.
And then
yeah, that's definitely not going to happen.
Oh.
I mean, we're at the point now also, which is I think is really cool, is rolling pit stops where the pit stops are now so fast. We're talking. I mean, I can remember when I was old enough to sort of start remembering watching Formula 1. Anything under 10 seconds was incredible. What a pit! I can remember the commentators going, "What a pit stop! Unbelievable!" Now, if it's more than 2 seconds, it's a failure.
Yeah. I've seen some incredible pit stops actually. Yeah. What's record now?
1.97 seconds, I think. Something like that it says. You know, but that no 1.67 seconds. Mm-hmm. So you've got 1.67 seconds over 2 seconds is a failure.
Yeah.
So even the slowest ones are sort of going.
You have a 0.4 second margin
and they're going
between excellence and
failure.
Yeah,
basically from the elite and the lower end of the
phenomenal. Tier. And of course we have to, while we're talking about F1 just quickly, we have to give a big shout out to Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
Phenomenal. One of the greatest.
No, the greatest.
The greatest sportsman.
Greatest sports driver in the world.
Yeah, one of the greatest sportsmen from the United Kingdom.
And down the road.
Yeah, from down the road.
We could drive for less than an hour and be at his childhood home.
Yeah, and still no knighthood.
Yeah, still no knighthood. What's up with that?
Hashtag Sir Lewis.
Or hashtag where you at, Lizzie?
Yeah, where you at? So, I think on that knightly statement, it's time to wrap things up.
Yep, thanks very much for joining us, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully you found this informative and hopefully you got something from this. We are trying to make this a weekly podcast. This is our official first episode, but it's actually our second episode. If you'd like to see the pilot release, shout out in the comments, let us know and we will release it. But if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, sound off in the comments like I said, let us know what you think, and hopefully we will see you again in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.